lane.
And I don't know. I look forward to hearing from Elevate afterwards because I am genuinely curious as to why they thought that today, September 18th, the fall split of the SCL was the right time to pull out that Opwash pick. In the third
Is it the 18th?
Position. Yeah, it's the 18th.
That's Opwash Day.
Oh,
we know the answer now. It's Opwash Day, guys.
Okay, I completely forgot. It wasn't in my calendar.
If you hadn't told me it was the 18th, I wouldn't even have known.
Yeah. As
we see Hell and Odin get banned out here for strictly business, but they had a reason.
Go play Opwash at home in a co-op game, so you don't get to feed actual people.
Terra, first pick here for strictly business. Absolutely no surprise there. Terra was, we didn't get a chance to talk about what a terror Terra was their last game. As Sun Wukong, first pick there for Elevate along with Morgan.
Much better. Now this Morgan's probably not actually in the mid lane for Mr. T. It's probably for Dr. L in that jungle. One of the few junglers that consistently plays this Morgan still and plays her to a very, very high level. Taking away that Terra ult from Strictly Business, not taking it away, but providing one to your own side can be very potent. And Strictly Business is 3-0 on the season. They've played Terra 3 times, so you know I'm not very good at math, but Boys is pretty good at Terra.
Xin Chen and Raija are the ones locked in there for Strictly Business, along with Sylvanas there for Elevate. So once again, we're saying that's a lot. When Terra gets picked up, we see Guan Yu's in response, Sylvanas is in response. This is an attempt to match what Terra provides for them.
Anytime one side has healing, the other side feels like they need healing as well, because even with anti-heal, it's still an advantage for the enemy team where they're regenerating health when you probably aren't. Sylvanas spent a long time as a dominant support in this league because of his sustain alone. Also his early pressure, those AoE autos that can clear the wave very quickly, very, very potent as well. So look for Sylvanas and the rest of Elevate to push their lead wherever Sylvanas is early.
And it looks like Strictly Business agree with you that Morgan wasn't going to be going to the mid lane because they banned out Hebo and Thoth, and Elevate then pick up Vulcan to be their mid lane, and Morgan going to be coming from the jungle likely.
Naja, the pick for Caden here. No Thor for him this time around. Thor and Susano, Caden's two most comfortable gods, so instead goes for the Naja. Can work very well against the Morgan because the Morgan, whenever she goes into stealth, leaves behind that clone, and she's going to be close enough to that clone that if you throw the ring bounce onto it, it's going to reveal the Morgan's position, slow her, speed you up. There's a really nice counter pick from Strictly Business.
And it synergizes with Strictly Business's own comp as Ullr gets locked in for Elevate. Easy setup there for Raijin at the end of that Naja ultimate dropping down in. Xin Chen also synergizing with Raijin too, so Strictly Business looking to try and get a lot of damage out of mid lane one more time.
And Fatal Ghost gets to play Hu Yi as last pick. Again, I mean, this guy continues to get this god that he really looks good on, and no one's made him prove that he can play something else in that Hunter role quite yet. And if I'm him, I'm saying I'll take it, man. No reason not to.
That's sort of a good point. We've getting to see Strictly Business just play. Is it their favorite gods? Is that what they get to do? They get to play, you know, Terra. They get to play Fatal Ghost almost every game. Barada gets Raijin. I mean, at some point, make them play something else.
That's how you draft, man. Until teams make you prove something else. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it certainly isn't broken for Strictly Business because they're looking to go 4-0 on the season in this game.
Now, we haven't seen a whole lot of Sylvanas here, at least these first 2 weeks. What is a little bit that Sylvanas is able to bring for you in that solo lane, or not solo lane, but duo lane for Vision?
Well, Vision's played this in week 1 and looked really, really strong on it. If you can hit your pulls consistently, Sylvanas becomes a top-tier support instantly because of how much displacement that brings. So just look for Vision's accuracy with that reach, trying to pull people into his team.
Caden playing aggressive here in the mid lane, using that ring bounce, not just clear, but get off every bit of poke he can there in that middle lane. So Caden doing a good job playing aggressive, playing to Naja's strengths. Over in the left-hand side, Matt Koiz and Fatal Ghost just clearing up the bus, heading back to lane. Looks like things are looking even pressure-wise for that dual lane.
That's surprising because Hu Yi Terra, pretty much as good as you can get, is clear in the early stages. Terra not the best, but can make sure that the triple bounces are a little bit easier for that Hu Yi, and really speaks to how good the clear is from Sylvanas, even on the jungle camps early.
Dr. L getting a good stun up on Caden, setting up Mr. Teep to get good poke off. Look at that, Mr. Teep already looks better playing Vulcan than all game Opwash, so just put him on a god that can have some impact. As Neximus comes in, immediate beans out from Caden, expecting the stun from the Tiger. That's very important in getting away from any follow-up from Teep and Dr. L, but it looks like Elevate do secure the speed.
No, I think that went to Strictly Business because no one from Elevate picked it up, so Caden might be able to just head on over and pick it up for himself. Don't know if it was a ring bounce that secured that or what, but that's a pretty good win for Strictly Business. It did cost Caden his beads, so not an entirely scot-free sort of moment for Strictly Business's jungler, but certainly better than losing it all at the beginning.
I agree. It's very important to maintain control over here on that speed buff. Back over here on the left-hand side, we're seeing what Terra can do in this lane. Provide sustain, and Visions is trying to match it there with Sylvanas. McCoy's getting healed up after taking poke from Uller here, Griffin Slays, which Uller does so well.
That's what Uller's all about. And Matt Koiz didn't spend a lot of time in this duo lane in game 1. Probably not going to spend a lot of time in it in game 2 either. As a nice jump over the pool from Fatal Ghost gets him out of a potentially sticky situation. This is a sustained battle that's going to favor Elevate in the early stages. Terra healing is pretty solid. I think it's really underrated for a lot of people that don't really expect it to be doing a lot because the ticks aren't big, but there's a lot of them, and so you can heal up your team pretty effectively with it. As Fatal Ghost decides to go in this situation.
Yeah, they've been controlling this lane here pretty well. You can tell because they've already amassed a bit of an experience lead. They're both level 4 before Griffin and Visions just now taking over to level 4. That could potentially be a point here too. We saw getting level 5 just that second earlier, securing a kill in solo lane earlier. So over here in duo could also be the same thing.
And going back to the sustained sort of battle between Sylvanas and Terra, Sylvanas probably going to be leveling that Wisp, so whereas Matt Koiz has a choice between Crushing Earth and the Monolith, might take him a little longer to decide to level up his sustain. And Visions can just pop the 2 and go away and let everyone can kind of disperse and still be receiving that heal over time, whereas Terra requires you to be standing inside the Monolith, and only if Matt Koiz decides not to shatter it for the root. So Sylvanas definitely going to have the advantage in terms of sustain on this matchup, but there isn't no sustain on the side of Strictly Business, and any sustain is usually going to help you out at least a little bit.
Uller isn't your traditional 80 carry, like so much like Yi, who's really trying to do that damage with the auto attacks. Are we going to see Griffin Slays take a different build path here to sort of augment that ability side of it?
Well, Zaxi played Uller earlier today, the Hunter for Obey Alliance, and he went for Transcendence into Aussie, so not quite the same Devourer's Gauntlets crit style of build. Uller can still work very well with Critical Strike because of his attack power buff in that bow stance. A second ability, Exposed Weakness, can really make those crit numbers become pretty big pretty quickly. But you can also go for a penetration route because not only does that help your auto attacks with things like Executioner and Shin Size, but that extra pen, if you go for Titan's Bane and Crusher, things of that nature, are going to help your abilities as well. So Griffin can go either way. I don't think either one is objectively correct. It's just a matter of playstyle.
Elevate looking to evade on the speed buff here one more time. Jarman has the ultimate available, catches 3, and then throws them back into the damage from his team. But it's Teep who ends up in a lot of trouble. Jarman getting credit for it. But I think a lot of the damage came from Baronic. Now it's Visions trying to back out away, but Sun Wukong went into the ultimate and comes crashing down onto Matt Koiz. Matt Koiz getting taken down. It's 1 for 1 here so far. Caden up into the air, coming right back down.
He took the clone. Caden took the clone. That wasn't an actual player. That could have been a really hot play from Caden. Unfortunately, chooses the wrong target. That was a really nice ring bounce, falling low, but a little bit too patient potentially with that ultimate. Now Baronic wants to continue this chase because of how low Dr. L and Visions are, but without his ultimate, even with these low health bars, a 3v1 would probably end up with Baronic on the losing end.
Just trying to put some pressure on there onto that speed buff. Not able to, so he backs off. As you said, they're coming over trying to get these mid Harpies. We saw these Oracles spawning up on the left-hand side earlier. That Vision's already been taken by Strictly Business, as well as just a bunch of wards over there. So I was going to say Elevate trying to express or trying to exert their influence here on the solo lane side, but it seems like Strictly Business is more concerned with duo.
Well, Strictly Business has gotten a couple early Gold Furies in their sets early on in this fall split of Season 4, so don't be surprised if they try and go for another one here. Naja pretty good at burning those early objectives with the extra attack speed from the Flaming Spear and that critical strike chance that's innately built in to his passive. So you can burn an objective pretty quickly with those Hu Yi Suns and Naja on top of it. And that seems to be something that Strictly Business likes to try and do.
That's not even to say anything of Baronic, whose ultimate would be a big help as well. Matt Koiz does get the stun off onto Griffin Slays over here, but Fatal Ghost not able to follow up, just getting some poke on this side to make sure Griffin Slays can't have it easy.
But Griffin did have to use his Purification Bead, so now Fatal Ghost can really try and play aggressive in that lane. Uller, one of the better characters that Hu Yi can 1v1 because it takes a little bit for that Uller jump to come out. He's got to change stance from his bow and then jump out of those Hu Yi Suns. Fatal Ghost probably has time to mark, shoot the Suns out, and find the ricochet before Griffin can jump out of it. Could be an easy solo kill for him.
2-1 are the kills here right now in favor of Elevate. Gold lead real small in favor of Strictly Business, like 200 to 300. So really not something to write home about. But one more time, we're seeing this Guardian over here in the solo lane. That's something where you can have a hard time with a matchup, especially against like a Sun Wukong. But we saw that extra control do really well for it here earlier. And also forces Neximus to have to build a little bit differently than how he normally would like to. Look like maybe going into like the Genji's guard over here with that first item, but Dr. L under a lot of stress here on this right-hand side. Caden not able to land that ultimate, but he is in a position to try and cut off Dr. L, who's vanished on the backside. Neximus, though, getting the stun off onto Caden. Terra Blessing coming out to try and help get away. Ultimate coming over the top. Not going to hit anyone to Mr. T, but actually Caden is the one who ends up falling. So Mr. T does get something out of it.
That's Naja in a nutshell for you. You hit the ultimate, you make big plays, you make big, good things happen. You miss the ultimate, you're probably dead in a lot of scenarios. And there, Caden just trusts himself, tries to go for the ultimate without any setup, and it ends up costing him his life and a speed buff.
That is being taken here by Dr. L, Neximus, and Vision, so they can secure that speed buff and these fire elementals on the right side. Strictly Business do at least get those oracles on the left side because it's just them and Griffin slays. They're actually going in on him, recognizing that he's alone. He is able to get the jump off and he even gets the stun on the Fatal Ghost, but he does get cleaned up thanks to the ultimate, as well as it actually goes to Fatal Ghost, the credit.
Uh-oh, Veronica in some trouble, walks into 3 members, and Dr. L going to transform into the Sun Wukong with that Changeling ultimate, trying to continue the chase onto Veronica. Plenty of early damage for him with this transformation.
Dr. L up into the air and crashing down on top of Veronica. It's eventually cleaned up there by Visions, very likely with those wisps. Caden now the one trying to chase down Teep as Dr. L gets taken out by Fatal Ghost in the backline. Teep running around, trying to avoid this damage. The knock-up on the 2 is good, running back towards Visions, but saw Fatal Ghost and realized that really wasn't even an option. Still going, still trying to put out what damage he can here.
No way he gets away, though, and Matt Coy is going to be the one to claim that one. Caden does a nice job of cutting off that team fight, so Veronica ends up falling, but Elevate lose 2 in response, and more importantly, Caden gets a couple of assists, and with Jarman rotating over, this is a Gold Fury pull opportunity, and I don't think Griffin realizes this is going on. He's going to lane to farm. Look at where Neximus is. He's going back to the right-hand side. There's just a lack of situational awareness from Elevate.
And Matt Coy is coming over here. Griffin Slays thinks he's caught Matt Coy's out of position, but really he's keeping him away from the Gold Fury. Matt Coy's, I'm sure, happy to make that trade and to make sure they guarantee that Gold Fury. It does go down for Strictly Business.
Probably didn't need to die there, Matt Coy's, but I guess if you had to get the Gold Fury, then certainly worth it. Not an awful trade for Strictly Business by any stretch, because Coy is going to be up sooner rather than later. Has the ultimate available, can impact the team fight should one break out on his way back to lane either way. And Strictly Business, despite being down in kills by 1 with that one for Griffin, putting Elevate into the lead, still ahead in gold because of how good their objective control has been.
That Gold Fury important for them and getting that lead back from Elevate and pushing them up here to that about 1,000 gold lead. It's about 10 minutes here into the game so far. Fatal Ghost got that Devil's Glow built up and he's getting it stacked. And it looks like Griffin is going to be going for that Transcendent Star. So this is sort of a point where Fatal Ghost kind of has the advantage while he's building that expensive Transcendence.
But as soon as Griffin finds that Transcendence and is able to complete it, as Griffin almost stole away that red buff that Fatal Ghost committed the ultimate to. He's on the run now. No beads or anything for Fatal Ghost. That Vulcan ultimate going to connect as Griffin goes up and over the wall for him.
Yeah, Griffin jumps over to try and get this kill. Terra's Blessing comes out, and it's not quite enough. Over the top comes the damage. Actually, Dr. L, who's the one that got that hit off Veronica, also trading back with Dr. L. So far, it's 1v1. Did he turn into Uller?
No, I believe that was Dark Omen was sitting on top of Fatal Ghost, and whenever he gets hit by another ability, that detonates and does a little bit of extra damage. Good accuracy from Griffin Slays.
Hard to believe he needed it, really.
Yeah, exactly. It probably would have been enough either way, and now Elevate looking for another speed buff invade, but no Dr. L here this time. Caden level 9, a little bit behind, and does manage to secure it, and Ryan Jarman picks up 2 with the ultimate.
We've seen this before. Ryan Jarman, Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, setting up 2 for his mid laner, Veronica, who cleans them up. Or at least Visions he does here. Good job with that. Neximus knocking up Jarman, trying to keep this engagement going, but backing off.
Could have been a good kill there for Caden if he found that ring toss onto the Sun Wukong clone. There's plenty of things for Caden to hit this ring bounce off of in this match. You got the Wukong clone, the Morrigan clone, Mr. Teep's turret as well. Plenty of extra deployables that Elevate can provide for Caden to give him an easier target with that ring bounce.
And it's fortunate Strictly Business weren't able to get that a little bit more cleanly with Portal Demon up on that right-hand side. A man advantage very easily could turn into pulling that objective, especially with Baronic. And as you said, Caden able to do so much damage to these neutral objectives, easily can burn it down.
I'd like to see Strictly Business try and put some focus into Mr. Teep, though. Now he's on a pick that he's comfortable on, a pick that it's a little bit more standard, the Vulcan, and he's gone for Doom Orb, but he's already got 30 stacks. This Doom Orb can really become out of hand pretty quickly if Strictly Business lets it become that 50 stack mark and allows Mr. Teep to continue to farm safely. So I think it's best if Caden and the rest of Strictly Business look for Mr. Teep in these next few moments, because while he does have purification beads, Vulcan is still pretty vulnerable to gods like Najah because of the fact that Najah gets a guaranteed ring bounce off that turret.
He's been doing a good job with this positioning, though, even though he's down 1-2. Those long-range Vulcan ultimates, he's been getting them from a good distance and making something happen out of them. So hopefully able to stay safe here, but it's certainly a signal that I don't think I'm going to die. So hopefully Caden and Barana pick up on it and are able to shut him down here in this mid lane, where we're getting a bit of a grouping here now. Vision control on that right side, though, looking pretty heavily in favor of Strictly Business. They do have a Sentry Ward up top. Does Elevate? So that gives them some kind of, sign towards any rotations, but not going to help out with the actual objective. As Vision takes a bunch of damage from Baronic, and Baronic recognizes it, goes directly into the ultimate, and Mr. Teep responds with an ultimate of his own, and that's a 1-for-1 trade. Mr. Teep just building up them stacks, man. That's
historically been the counter to gods, to Raijin, is that things like Vulcan ultimate that can punish how immobile he can be in that ultimate form. As Dr. L tried to do his best to get in there with that Sun Wukong transformation, but Caden and Fatal Ghost combine to bring him down and make him pay, lose the purification beads for it in the process as well. So a little bit too aggressive there out of Dr. L.
Fatal Ghost was waiting for him as soon as he landed, was Fatal Ghost. Jarman getting some poke on the Neximus, but not able to make anything happen, though Caden was rotating around, trying to see if there's anything he can take off that advantage, because they have sent him back. At the very least, push this minion wave in the tower.
Despite being the top of his team in player damage, Caden a little bit behind Dr. L in terms of XP, at least, has just now hit level 12, or Dr. L was hitting level 12 for a little bit, but with this lane push in conjunction with Jarman, gonna get some lane XP, which is pretty guaranteed, and that tier 1 tower on right. That should put Caden in a nice spot to continue this lead.
And that was built off Dr. L falling in middle lane. There was no one to rotate over and try and help clear that minion wave or keep anyone out, because Dr. L was back at base as this Oracles get taken by Elevate.
Fatal Ghost actually steals one away with that Ricochet, just snatching one with that Huyi Ricochet knowledge, knowing exactly where he's supposed to be shooting that Shrine Steel Oracles.
Able to get good poke on the Griffin, too, bringing him down to half health, but that's why you pick Sylvanas. Just go ahead and get those whips out, get healed back up. It's like it never even happened, aggro.
But Fatal Ghost wants to take as many boxing fights as he can, because he's the one with sustain without his support there. He's got the Devourer's Gauntlets, which are almost fully stacked, whereas Griffin has to wait until his support shows up to try and get that sustain going. So Fatal Ghost, very smart to try and take those fights.
And that's what Devil Glows allows you to do as well. Start poking at this Gold Fury and force Elevate to respond. Make sure Elevate are capable of coming over here and answering it. If they don't, Fatal Ghost is capable of starting to take it by himself, or at least get very close. But that ward from Elevate is granting them vision of what Fatal Ghost is up to.
A very smart ward. You make Strictly Business to use 2 sentry wards for one objective to make sure that they have entire vision control of that area. Instead, they may think that they've got vision control, but really there's a ward spotting it out on the bottom side.
Now it's Elevate who started pulling the Gold Fury, and they get Fatal Ghost ultimate there for free, but it's Neximus who's caught out by Caden up into the air and crashing down. Not quite enough to finish it, but that's okay. Fatal Ghost takes care of the rest.
Baronic and Fatal Ghost jump away as Dr. L transforms into the Raijin, but now he's locked himself into a bad spot. Don't know if he has a Thunder Crash. He does, and it actually is right on top of Ryan Jarman. But look at that damage from Baronic, just tearing through all of Elevate.
Yeah, we thought Dr. L was in trouble there, but not when Baronic's raining through just like that. Jarman actually comes in and gets a kill, as does Baronic. Visions falls as well. That's a 4-for-0 trade in favor of Strictly Business. Now they're going to come back and pull this Gold Fury without a care in the world.
Man, that Raijin damage in the middle of a team fight like that, holy cow, that must have been almost 2,000 damage alone from that team fight between the Raiju, the Percussive Storm, and then Baronic still had the ult, and everyone with their Aegis still ends up falling. 3 quick kills for Strictly Business, and again, Baronic on this Raijin, 5-2-5. Really starting to show his stuff as his God pool continues to get even bigger. really made a splash in Season 3 whenever he entered the league unaware and started to really impress people. And it just continues to get better here in Season 4.
Strictly Business recognizing they can pull this Portal Demon as well, and they do take it. Their gold lead climbing up to 6,500. Experience lead very close as well at 7,500. They're leading in the kills 12-5 here at 16 minutes in. And this is when that gold lead starts to move from, hey, let's be the ones that are starting the fight to, now we're the ones who are moving a little bit more in control here. It's hard to fight into.
Strictly Business definitely very far ahead now. Look at how many power items they've completed as opposed to the other way across. There's an Executioner done for Fatal Ghost, and Griffin Slay's just got an Aussie, which is not nearly as potent in terms of attack speed and penetration as the Executioner. Baronic's working towards a Spear of Desolation. He's almost done with it, and he completed that Book of Thoth all in the same back. And again, Mr. Teep, when behind, goes for Hide of the Urchin when it's going to be the least effective. This time, at least he has a Doom Orb to kind of give him that boost of power that he needs, but I still think I'd rather see him go for something aggressive and try and make a big play instead of just waiting to be killed while not putting out as much damage.
And Strictly Business seem all in here on that sustain too. Xing Chen for Ryan Jarman already has a lot of HP 5 just in his kit. Even picks up the Stone of Gaia to go along with that as Jarman commits the ultimate over here to secure the blue buff.
Xing Chen ultimate, actually one of the best at stealing away buffs because it makes it very hard to hit the buff, picks it up, and the enemy at the same time. You can't secure the speed without it. Teep going to help Neximus get that one. It's actually going to be Neximus who picks it up because Dr. L's on the left side of the map.
Neximus happy to have that. I'm sure he's happy to zoom along as Dr. L comes in. He said he was on this side of the map. It's because he's making problems for Fatal Ghost. Drops the ult down on top of himself, and Griffin Slays forced to use Beads and Aegis to try and avoid some of the damage. Dr. L jumping up now, using that Hu Yi onto Fatal Ghost, and then also more damage coming in from the back here too, as Caden takes Griffin Slays up into the air.
Fatal Ghost says, you may look like me, but you can't play like me on the Hu Yi. Just doesn't find anything, Dr. L there. With that transformation, think that Wukong the transformation might have done him some more good while Caden cleans up Griffin Slays, and that's the difference. If Elevate's down 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 gold, probably a kill, but with how far ahead everyone from Strictly Business is, it ends up being a 2 for 0 in SB's favor.
Caden forces Visions to solo ult to try and deter some of that aggression. Very important to get that big team fighting ultimate out already. Nexum is continuing to push the aggression, going for the Tiger Stun, and able to get it. The walls there enough to slow Caden, to slow Nexum is down for now, and Fatal Ghost rotating in, but I think he's in a bad spot. Nexum is now just going to turn his attention to him.
Nice job by Matt Koizo to find that route. Neximus' 72 transformations should be coming up soon, and there it is. Finds the stun onto Caden. Baronic being handled, but he's going to be able to Thunder Crash away.
Visions in the back still taking a lot of damage, but it's Caden who's using his ultimate to get away from Neximus and finds Mr. Teep. That ultimate won't be enough to kill, but he got it so long distance, he actually backs back up out of danger. Neximus, though, hanging around. That 72 transformation puts him into the ground. Baronic goes, Fatal Ghost goes. Everyone from Strictly Business falling back now. It's a 1 for 3 in favor of Elevate.
Just a little bit too confident there for Strictly Business. If that's a 9K lead, a 10K lead, it's the opposite this time, then that probably works out, but not ahead enough to really get away with that greedy positioning. Now this allows Elevate to get back in the game because Dr. L got a ton of free farm on the right-hand side and secured some farm for the rest of his team with that tier 1 tower push. 3 members die on Strictly Business, and a lot of those had big bounties on their heads. Fatal Ghost and Baronic, both with plenty of farm, as Jarman finds himself a stray Morrigan in the jungle.
Mr. Teep also makes it to the team fight unscathed. He's at 50 stacks on that Doom Dorm, and they have not been touched. It's going to be very important for him. As he said, he went with the Hide of the Urchin for going the penetration and his build a little bit earlier, but hopefully that Doom Orb damage helps make it up for him.
I mean, he is second on his team in player damage, but that equates to being, what, 6th in the game. He's still below 4 members of Strictly Business and only Neximus above him, above all those members, and that's what you kind of expect from Sun Wukong, especially one who's been playing as well as Neximus has in this game. 5-1-1, top of the player damage, as I just mentioned, and going for an entirely defensive build, just relying on that poke damage and the survivability that he has in order to continue to put out consistent numbers.
Seems like Elevate not able to get too much out of it, though, as the gold lead still right around that 6K gold mark or so, as we do have a brief pause coming out here. So Strictly Business, Gold Fury coming up at about 10 seconds. They're still in the driver's seat here, still the ones that can decide where we have this next fight.
Without a doubt. If I'm Strictly Business, I see that Elevate has the Oracle Vision on the Gold Fury, and I'm saying, good, come fight us. I want you to come into the Gold Fury pit because we think that we can take those fights handily. I mean, look at what they did whenever they grouped up last time around the Gold Fury. Baronic just ripped through all of them. So that's where Elevate is probably going to have to make their choice. Do we give up the Gold Fury and go down by 8K, or do we go in there and try and take the fight? I think I'm sending Neximus in first, try and steal it away, try and disrupt Strictly Business and get them to chase Neximus instead of one of our damage dealers who can't get away.
And just as you said, Fatal Ghost not deterred by that Oracle Vision at all, already pulling that Gold Fury, using Devil Gloves to stay still at perfect full health. And Mr. Teep actually commits the ultimate. That's best case scenario for Strictly Business, but Caden gets caught out very quickly. Things turn in just that quickly as Griffin Slays also gets a kill there. Dr. L now falling to Fatal Ghost, and it's Strictly Business who are falling back. They commit the sprint there. Matt Coy's caught out though on the back end. Whirlwind of Rage of Steel to try and bring Visions back in to get some damage onto him as well, and it is enough. Neximus is now going to have to back off.
Neximus still chasing down Ryan Jarman. At least that's his clone chasing down Ryan Jarman. A 2-for-1 in favor of Strictly Business, and Caden just gets blown up there before he can use anything at all. Has got to be a little bit quicker on the relics if he wants to survive in that scenario, because Visions was quick on the Blink ultimate, but right back to the Gold Fury. But where's Neximus? Still trying to be a nuisance and doing so successfully.
Strictly Business, though, are very hard on these calls. They recognize that he was there. They drop it 100% and go for the kill. Same thing here for Mr. Teep, who they know doesn't have that ultimate available. Beads already used to try and slow him down. Not quite the range to get that root for Jarman, so Mr. Teep is going to escape. But now it's Griffin Slaves who's in trouble, able to get the jump off, but the wall was good enough to force him to turn back into the damage, and that's Griffin Slays down.
Fatal Ghost looking to chase down Neximus, who's still around, will have his ultimate soon enough as well. But again, Strictly Business just go back to the Gold Fury. No one's been able to put Fatal Ghost enough damage on him.
Dr. L sneaking in onto Baronic, but he gets immediately blown up. Has to go into the Sun Wukong ultimate just to stay alive, sitting up on that somersault cloud and healing up and looking to come down back to safety, but so sneaky.
Strictly Business says, okay, we'll deal with this Wukong. Okay, we'll force Teep out. Okay, we just got stunned by Dr. L. We'll just go back to gold until you let us have it, whether by choice or by force. And they get it by choice this time. Strictly Business able to get their third Gold Fury of the game.
And this is the sustain we're talking about for Strictly Business. They were pulling that Gold Fury for so long. Mr. Teep's ultimate came back up, and he used it again to try and stop that Gold Fury pull. So again, that's the Xing Chen, that's the Terra, having so much HP either in their kits or providing it for their team, able to pull that Gold Fury, even the Devil Gloves on Fatal Ghost, letting them fight that fight so patiently.
Exactly. The Devil Gloves on Fatal Ghost is the big one for me. Yes, the Terra sustain certainly helps, but getting those crits on the Gold Fury, you're healing for more. Gold Fury makes you lifesteal a little bit less, so it's not quite as easy to solo as it once was back in the old days of competitive Smite, but still certainly doable once you get this deep into the build for Fatal Ghost. Almost done with that Deathbringer, and he's already doing plenty of damage. He's third in the game at over 14,000. Once he finishes off that Deathbringer, look out.
Now Strictly Business is up 8K gold. 18 to 11 are the kills at the 24-minute mark, and attention turns to the solo lane side of the map where the Portal Demon and Fire Giant are hanging out, hoping Strictly Business ain't coming over with that look in their eye.
Well, they probably will pretty soon, because they've got a pretty big lead at this moment. Might be waiting for a couple of these power items, because Baronic is waiting on Rod of Tahuti. He's almost done with that. Fatal Ghost, as I mentioned, almost done with the Deathbringer. And once those are complete, this game is going to be a lot easier for Strictly Business to win. So wouldn't be too surprised if SB just waits until those power items are done, or they can force this now because they're still up about over 7,000 gold.
Portal Demon is being pulled, and Neximus seems to be the only one who wants to hang out. Caden, recognizing it, already gets the sash off to try and slow him down. Mr. Teep does have the ultimate available, but not able to get into range to get off a shot. Either that or didn't feel like firing it, so Strictly Business take the Portal Demon for free, and they catch Dr. L already to beat your pod. Mr. Teep does drop the ultimate and gets up good damage onto Baronic, but Dr. L drops immediately.
And Visions got pulled out of positions because of it. Now Jarman's going to claim him as well. Neximus is here, but he's going to get picked up and thrown directly into the wall to make sure that he can't be too much of a nuisance. Elevate just goes in one by one. Nice sash by Caden looking for Mr. Teep, but he's already used the ultimate, so Teep going to be able to hold his relics.
That team fight very important there for Strictly Business, taking down two without losing anyone. Now they move back over here to the Fire Giant and start pulling it, not really a way for Elevate to contest it, especially with Jarman up there deterring two members from trying to come in. Beads, though, from Griffin Slays, he tries to come in and get the damage over the top, but it's just not quite enough.
That was really close from Griffin Slays. That was maybe a 200 damage off of stealing that away with the hail of arrows, but actually used the purification beads to make sure that he was going to be in range, because the knockup and root combo from Xing Chen almost pays off, but Unfortunately for Elevate and their fans, it's Strictly Business who come away with the objective fairly cleanly, despite the close call there for them.
Fire Giant picked up here now, and Strictly Business still has a lot of gold here on the map. Despite their gold lead, all Tier 2 towers are still standing for them to go through and take down so that they can get those Phoenixes open. Tier 1s, though, are all down here on the map, so Tier 2s are going to be the call from Strictly Business. They go back, they spin some of that gold that they already have. Look here at Matt Coy's. So much magical defense there. Even the Pestilence out to try and prevent any kind of healing coming out from Elevate, particularly on the side of Visions. They're looking geared up and ready to come hammering down the left-hand side.
Also wants to make sure that he doesn't get blown up by Dr. L in the later stages. Don't be surprised if you see Baronic go for something like a Void Stone of his own to make sure that he doesn't get killed. A Stone of Fall would be great here for Baronic to make sure that he doesn't get one shot in his own ultimate from the ultimate from Mr. Teep, but very kind of Mr. Teep to go high to the Urchin so that Baronic doesn't have to worry about that quite as much. If he was finishing off Rod of Tahuti right now, working towards a Soul Reaver or an Ethereal Staff, something like that, that'd be a pretty big worry for Strictly Business. But again, because of this height of the Urchin from behind with only one stack on it, it's not really doing a lot for him.
That's the part that really hurts too. Only able to be a part of one kill since completing that item. So still really, it's not even gold efficient just on its own. Never mind the fact that he's had to give up other parts of his build too. So that's hurting Mr. Teep in a big way here during this fight. But it's not going to be the end of it. Visions does now have that blink for Sylvanas. So that's going to be a big part of him coming in, blinking and trying to get that open off onto multiple members and setting up Teep for a big defense. That's what I'm seeing as the best case scenario for Elevate to defend as Tier 2 and left and middle fall.
As you mentioned, there's plenty of gold left on the map for Strictly Business to take, and the Rod of Tahuti's already done for Baronic. Deathbringer is already done for Fatal Ghost. They might decide to back and finish off their 6th items, but probably strong enough right now to just continue this push going. Seems to me that they're going to back up after this. That's the way they're posturing, and Baronic will indeed just decide to stand there for a little bit and then start to back up with the squad.
He just wants to bang on his drum all day, all right? And that's what he chooses to do.
Listen, who doesn't? I mean, if I had my choice of what I was doing,
Mr. Teep, because he picked off Wash.
Yeah, Mr. Teep probably wouldn't. Yeah, you're right.
He seemed like he's okay just playing with the corpses, so there you go. But they do come over here and take that Gold Fury because 13K in the lead is not quite enough for Strictly Business here. They do take that gold and extend it up to 15,000. Buy a car for your girl, Caden, because you got plenty of gold, my man.
Still working on his last item, I think, though, right? He's got some stuff he's got to buy for himself. Yeah, he doesn't even have his Titan's Bane done yet.
Well,
you can worry about the car later.
His girl can wait. Okay, Titan's Bane's got to happen.
33% pen, man. That's important. Okay.
No, it's nuts. I gotta agree. Now, I want to ask you here: is something like Deathbringer kind of essential on a Naja? It seems like he's chosen not to worry about it. He's doing plenty of damage. It's not as if he's struggling here.
Actually, if you're going to go for a crit item, Malice is the one that's essential on Naja. Malice timed the way that Malice works is it reapplies the dot damage from a crit, and that it syncs up perfectly with the Naja ultimate, so you actually get more damage out of Malice than you would out of the Deathbringer, but it's not necessary. You can go for just pure penetration. The Jotuns, the Brawlers, the Titans, exactly what Caden has done here.
Yeah. You're
going to be able to survive and deal enough damage that way. Will you absolutely one-shot Griffin Slaves with this build? No, you won't do the 100 to 0 like you can with the Malice and Deathbringer build, but you're still going to be doing enough, and it's still going to be potent. The best part about Naja Ultimate really isn't the damage, it's the fact that you're taking someone out of combat for that long, and you know where they're going to re-enter combat, and you can punish them very easily for it.
And Caden making that conscious choice to go with this build here too, so that's what they decided is best here for this team. At this point, now it looks like Strictly Business are 6 slotted out, and they're ready to come back in and wreak havoc for Elevate as they do take down that Portal Demon. And Fire Giant's only 30 seconds from respawning, so that's what Strictly Business are waiting here for. And can Elevate come contest this Fire Giant?
Well, they haven't lost to Phoenix yet, so it wouldn't be the worst idea to come and try and contest this Fire Giant. But at the same time, they're probably not going to be able to. They're definitely not going to be able to take the fight unless Strictly Business completely botch the tanking of this Fire Giant and then probably give it up on top of that. So Elevate might just decide that it's better for them to try and use the Phoenix as their best defense spot. If you go to the Fire Giant, you have to run all the way back to your Phoenix to be able to be safe from Strictly Business, and even then it might not be enough. Whereas on the Phoenix, your fountain's right there waiting for you.
Fatal Ghost already has this Fire Giant ticking down, and no one from Elevate is coming out to contest it, as you suggested. Looks like Stone of Fall here was picked up.
Bless, finally, a mid laner. that understands that getting one-shot by other mid-lane mage ultimates can be stopped with just an item purchase. Then you can save your Aegis for other things.
Well, that's what we're seeing here. He doesn't have to worry about it too much from Dr. L. That was what I wanted to ask you about. Only 4 items here into his build. Does have that Spirit Desolation and Rod and Tahuti, so those are big power items, but just not going to be swinging as much as Baronic.
No, but I mean, there's so much damage on 3 aspects in Dark Omen that the 1 poly 2 combination will almost put someone to the point where they have to reconsider being in the fight. Kaden, Baronic, and Fatal Ghost still need to watch out for Dr. L.
Strictly business posturing here over the Phoenix. They're taking some power shots, but it's Ryan Jarman who blinks into the backline, but Visions counter blinks in with his knockup. It was the combo I was talking about, but didn't quite hit it. Only Matt Koiz takes the damage from Mr. Teep. Now as Neximus up into the ult. Too much damage. He felt forced to use that. 2 ultimates used by Elevate and 2 used for Strictly Business, but Baronic, Koiz, and Caden still have theirs available. Actually, 3 used on the side of Elevate. You don't even count Griffin Slates.
In Strictly Business, it has those impact ultimates still left. Jarman's is an impact ultimate, but Fatal Ghost just wants to throw out autos now.
Over on the right-hand side, going into the Phoenix and getting the split push on the left-hand side as well. Baronic takes down Visions very quickly here at the beginning of the fight. Dr. L switching over into Baronic, trying to get some of that damage for himself. Aegis forced out, but a good stun means Fatal Ghost can go ahead and clean that one up. Mid lane Phoenix already has fallen. Right side Phoenix now has fallen. Neximus trying to do something to slow down the push of Strictly Business, but it's just not enough. He's going to turn to an Ox and get out of there as Caden has Griffin up in the air.
And immediately waiting for him, Baronic on the bottom side. Strictly Business find 3 more kills. Looks like they're going to find game 2 as well. A clean performance from them in this set.
Strictly Business playing so cleanly here. Kind of having a little bit of fun here down at these last few